Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV. It's an honor for us to recap the story of a recipient of over 320 international awards on design and branding. David Brier has the rare distinction of being presented the Presidential Ambassador for Global Entrepreneurship medallion, a native New Yorker and Google's #1 ranked rebranding expert. David's 4 decades of branding expertise are sought after by companies of all sizes, from startups to global organizations and every industry demanding an unorthodox edge in today's business climate. In addition to being a branding and rebranding expert and keynote speaker, David is the best-selling author of his #1 Amazon book, Brand Intervention: 33 Steps to Transform the Brand That You Have into the Brand That You Need, with a foreword written by Shark Tank star and CEO of FUBU, Daymond. Applauded by the likes of New York Times bestselling author of Pitch Anything and multimillion-dollar dealmaker Oren Klaff, David is called a branding genius by billionaire Grant Cardone, and Shark Tank's Daymond calls him brilliant with branding. Claude Silver, Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia, Gary Vaynerchuk's agency, wrote of his best-selling book, "This is not only an outstanding book on branding, but is an excellent example of branding, design, and content I keep in my office. I only wish I had this book at the beginning of my career." David and his work have been featured in Adweek, Fast Company, Forbes, Inc. magazine, Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, Thrive Global, and the New York Times, and numerous blogs and podcasts around the world. When you have a goal to become a design expert, you must learn how you are perceived by others. Focusing on your personal brand will help you gain trust and cooperation with your team of high-performing executives. David Brier understood this principle early in his career as he details his story. To better understand his accomplishments, I'll recap our conversation from the Follow the Brand podcast interview in Season 3, Episode 7. Brands are often associated with products, services, and companies. So I asked David, of all the professions he could have worked in, why he chose marketing and branding.
The short answer is that growing up in New York, I was surrounded by a lot of the things that one can enjoy in New York. So, food, culture, art, music. I loved all of that. I love being surrounded by all that. And I really took that in. And for me, there was always a matter of what was the thing that got me to stop? Did I walk by a deli and there was like a smell coming out of the deli that made me stop? Did I walk down the street and there was a street performer doing something, or I went to a gallery or a museum and I'd see something and why was I gravitated toward this thing? So to me, there was always a matter of my attention would get arrested by something that disrupted the normal kind of pattern and pace of life or other stuff that I was enjoying at the time. And so that really was probably the underlying little strand of, ooh, I found that I lit up when that happened for me. And I observed other people lighting up when it happened for them. And so I took my artistic skill, started to get into design and embracing the marketing and the branding, because I like waking people up.
Did he light you up with his answer? I could see the clear images of myself walking through Times Square, Manhattan, as he described his journey into marketing and branding. David has designed and transformed global brands, regional and local brands, and brands for startups and even cities. So I asked him, what was the one thing he wished he would have known before he began his career?
It would have been me leaning over, whispering into my ear, saying, the person that you're talking to also has dreams and aspirations. Make sure to not ignore those, because, and the reason I'm saying that is because I think everybody in the beginning of their career, what are they focused on? They're focused on leaning in, making sure they're giving it their all. If they have the entrepreneurial leanings, they're going to be giving it their all. They're going to be freaking leaning into it big time. They want to make their mark. They got to get on the radar. There's got to be some recognition. There's got to be some, they're going to get some press, all these things, all these key little things that say, yes, you are a valid part of this now. Right. I can't say that I know that the same is true for those who are in a career path, but if they have big dreams in terms of their career, I think it's going to be similar. If their goal is like, hey, just to get a steady job, they may not have that. I mean, just like to get a steady job and a steady paycheck, that's very predictable, very routine. It's kind of like you clock in, you clock out, right? So it probably has a different dynamic, but that's the thing for me. That's the thing for me is just, I don't know. I mean, I love it. I love all that. I love the energy and the buzz and the leaning in.
Naturally, I need to find out how he got above the noise and transcended to his first plateau as a branding expert. Listen as he recaps his path to brand mastery.
My first taste was early on in my career, probably about 85, 86. And I was new in my career. I've been doing what I've been doing for a few years at that point. And I ended up looking at, I want to get my work out there. I want to get it known. I want to get it seen in the right context. So what I want to do is, if I approach a printer and I approach an illustrator and I approach a photographer and I approach, this is when typesetting was actually done outside, not on our computers, but actually there was an entire industry that did typesetting, so typesetter. So like getting all these different parts to the piece of what it would take if we all worked collaboratively as one unified, hey, we're going to get something out there. Let's produce a magazine. I would be the one responsible for it. And so I put out this thing called Graphic Relief, a quarterly indulgence. That's what I called it. And it was large. I mean, the thing was like about 12 inches by 18 inches in size. And it was just really beautifully done, beautifully produced, very artful. And that's when I started to win some first awards and things to really start get recognition. And it was really hard to ignore. And it kind of blew people's minds. I remember years later looking at that saying, boy, did I have some cojones to like come up with that? I mean, I was fresh, and new in my career, and I'm approaching these people and people are agreeing. They're going, that's cool, because none of us could individually do that, but collectively we could actually lean into it and do that. And that was great. So that was like my first taste that got me to go, something special can be done here.
David found his brand by putting together a collaboration of other experts in print media to produce a world-class quarterly magazine. Now that is the liberator of awesome. I asked David, what problem is he solving with his skills?
What I'm passionate about and what I'm solving is, I'm solving the problem that business school or schools in general have actually never had on their curriculum. How do you actually, if you've done the hard work, like I know of no university in the world that answers this question. If you've done the hard work to create a brilliant product or brilliant service that can actually, in a small way or maybe a big way, revolutionize that industry, how do you do that? And actually, how do you convey that in words and image and story? How do you do that? Because the bottom line is that, I mean, here's another thing that again, I don't think this is taught in any university in the world. Entrepreneurs don't know their primary role. They're in the role of actually changing minds. You know, you and I know, we've all been approached by salespeople who they're blah, 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 blah. They were parroting some script and they were giving you the same old crap that you've heard 5, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500 times before. That's not going to achieve anything. And they also think that that they're in the arm wrestling business rather than in the helping business. So they're in the business of one, helping, and two, it's like if there's no way that any entrepreneur, how are they going to get a prospect to come to a new conclusion if they're actually using old ideas? You can't get a prospect to go, wow, I just realized something, by them hearing the same old thing that they've heard before, whether it's by a salesperson or by branding. So the job that we're in, I mean, we're here to make the world a better place. We're here to actually benefit people. We're here to elevate how things are done, you know, and sometimes it's in a very niche market and sometimes it's a very, very big and broad. But the bottom line is it's exciting. And why the hell are we using the language of the old to introduce the new? Business is about stuff that's new.
How do you convey in word, image, and story the product or service that you have created? Do you feel you are in the role of actually changing minds? These are some of the very thoughtful questions posed by David Brier. David shares his fundamental beliefs about the foundation of branding today and how he is helping entrepreneurs today to achieve expertise.
Well, it's something that I can talk to because I've seen it up close and personal with, when I talk to a client, for example, when I talk to a client that hey, David, we'd love to talk to you about helping us brand, blah, 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 blah. I say, okay, good. Tell me about your brand. Da, da, da. Tell me why here's one of my routine questions. I'll say, tell me why I, as a prospective customer, should give a damn about what you're offering me. And then they say, oh, well, we this and because of this, and then feature, and we and I and blood, sweat, and tears, and 14 divorces ago, and you know, and this and that, and alimony, and you know, infidelity, and all this kind of stuff, and drunken nights, and sober mornings, and all that. You know, I'm like, okay, good, thank you very much. Now, why do I know that if I went to one of your competitors, or when I went to several of your competitors, I'd pretty much hear the same thing? How great they are, how earnest they are, how committed they are, blood, sweat, and tears, the best in the industry, life-changing. No one's going to care about them like we do, blah, 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 blah. Why am I going to hear the same thing? I said, do you see that as a problem? And then all of a sudden they go, oh, yeah, well, yeah, I guess that is a problem. See, they never looked beyond their navel. That's the problem. So whenever anybody is in the business of being in business, whether it's career or whether it's an entrepreneurial endeavor or it's building an empire. I've had, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, I literally had one of my clients take me out to lunch and say, David, thank you. And I'm like, for what? Well, because of the work you did for us, I was personally, and this is the CEO telling me personally, I was personally able to donate $50 million to causes that I support. And that's because of your work. And it was at that point that I realized I have the ability to help dreams come true. I have the ability to actually help empires be built. Because if you can't navigate your way in the world of where there's lots of stories and there's lots of claims and there's lots of noise, if you can't navigate your way through that to be heard with clarity and distinction and traction, you're wasting your time. Your dreams are what's at stake, and you are letting those things die. You're basically just if they were in ICU, you're basically pulling the plugs on those suckers right there. So that's the thing that I love about this game, is because I get to help my clients recognize, holy crap, I've been using ordinary tactics to try to lead an extraordinary life. And by me asking the questions I ask, they all of a sudden realize I am so ill-armed to actually fight this battle, to leave the mark that I intend and want and should leave in this world. And then they light up, because now all of a sudden they're going, okay, I'm freaking Rambo, right? I got the sweat on my brow. I got the long freaking hair. I got the ammo across my chest. Now it's a matter of like, good. Now you can shoot at something. Now
Right. Yeah, you got to disarm them and get them into, like I say, get them out of context.
Yeah.
So I learned that a while ago. The best place for me to meet certain people is to meet them out of context, where they're not expecting you to meet them, and you have a differentiated conversation. And a lot of times, like you said, man, I never thought of it like that. I never stood back and looked at it and really could see beyond these faded glasses where we're going.
Yeah.
So thank you for that insight. So if they want to get in touch, what is the best way to get in touch with you, David?
Best way is, for sure, my website, risingabovethenoise.com. It's RASING, risingabovethenoise.com. But also, I would say, LinkedIn, I spend, that's where they can get a very regular dose of, there's a real regular dose of content that comes there practically every day of the week. There's plenty of other places, but that's the thing. It's like, go to the website, find the stuff that's there to be had. There's almost over 300 actual, like, visually stimulating and thought-provoking and myth-busting articles and posts that help you look and help you see and help you, because if you can't look and you can't see, how the hell are you going to come to a new idea? How are you going to connect dots that others are missing if you're always looking through the same filtered lenses of, this is the way the world is? That's not where genius happens. Genius happens when there's a fluidity, an ability to shift and maneuver. And anyway, so that's the thing. Risingabovethenoise.com. And for sure, if anybody, if they want just a real slap in the face from for almost 4 decades of experience, they should get themselves a copy of Brand Intervention. Get the hardcover copy. It's got great production values. It's got color throughout. It's not your normal. Like I say on the back of the book, I literally say the first book written for CEOs, entrepreneurs, and brands that don't have time to read a book on branding.
There's always a person at the end of the decision-making point. Knowing the conversation to have is the answer for many in business today who are looking to successfully brand and market their company. David Brier has the ability to make dreams come true, the ability to have empires built. Having a message of clarity, distinction, and traction to be heard, and it's not a waste of your time and money. Do not continue to use ordinary tactics to try and lead an extraordinary life. Thank you for viewing this episode on the Follow the Brand TV. Remember to hit the subscribe button and to continue to tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.